Our opening thought this morning comes from the writing of Fyodor Dostoevsky, The Brothers Karamazov. Above all, don't lie to yourself. Persons who lie to themselves and listen to their own lies come to a point that they cannot distinguish the truth within them or around them, and so lose all respect for themselves and for others. And having no respect, they cease to love. Our next reading is from Jose and Harris from his work, Mi Vida. There is beauty in truth, even if it's painful. Those who lie twist life so that it looks tasty to the lazy, brilliant to the ignorant, and powerful to the weak. But lies only strengthen our defects. They don't teach anything, help anything, fix anything, or cure anything, nor do they develop one's character, one's mind, one's heart, or one's soul. Our next reading comes from Simone de Beauvoir and her work, The Ethics of Ambiguity. Since we do not succeed in fleeing it, let us therefore try to look the truth in the face. Let us try to assume our fundamental ambiguity. It is in the knowledge of the genuine conditions of our life that we must draw our strength to live and our reason for acting. The title of our discourse this morning is It's a Conspiracy! The willingness of a large percentage of the people across the political spectrum to accept unsubstantiated conspiracy theories is depressing. That being said, it's important to realize that there are actual conspiracies that are taking place in our society and in the world. There is a such thing as conspiracies, and it's important to be aware of that fact. But accepting conspiracy theories with little to no actual evidence can quickly lead people down a rabbit hole that can almost wholly separate them from reality. According to the Oxford English Dictionary, the definition of a conspiracy is this: the action of conspiring, a combination of persons for an evil or unlawful purpose. With this definition in mind, I will be the first to admit that there have been, are, and will be in the future many real conspiracies in the world. There is ample evidence that there are many true conspiracies in our past and present, and some of them are so complex and unbelievable in scope that it is easy to see why so many of us are quick to believe even the most outlandish conspiracy theories. It is true, for example, that tobacco companies conspired. They conspired to obscure the truth about the deadly consequences of using their products for many, many years. The tobacco company's own internal documents have proven this conspiracy to be true. It is true that chemical companies conspired to levy personal attacks against the marine biologist and writer Rachel Carson when, in her scientific research that she wrote about in Silent Spring, she pointed out the ecological and health dangers of the use of DDT, a pesticide that not only persists in the environment for long periods of time, but also accumulates into greater concentrations as it moves up the food chain. Even to this day, some attempt to disparage Carson's work because they know what a watershed event it was in exposing the danger of inadequate regulation and oversight of industrial activity. It is true that oil and automobile industries conspired together to weaken mass transportation systems throughout the country, to deny the health effects of using leaded gasoline, and to stifle the development of electric vehicle technology. All of this has been well documented. It's all within their own internal documents. It is true that chemical companies and tobacco companies conspired together to promote chemical flame retardants as a way of diverting attention away from one of the most common causes of house fires at the time, which was the use of cigarettes. They even paid persons who provided false testimony about the safety and effectiveness of these products. All of this has been meticulously documented by Naomi Oreskes in her book, Merchants of Doubt. It is true that Exxon scientists in the 1970s predicted in very accurate detail what the continued use of fossil fuels would do to the Earth's climate, and that it would put the continuation of a livable climate and all of human civilization at risk. But Exxon executives and other fossil fuel executives conspired together to hide this truth. And they spent billions of dollars over time to sow the seeds of doubt about climate science so they could continue to make trillions of dollars over time from the continued use of fossil fuel. Sadly, we even have clear evidence that in 1962, during the Kennedy administration, that the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, in agreement with the other chiefs of staff, presented from the Department of Defense, presented a proposal to implement a false flag operation that included perpetrating acts of violent terrorism against numerous United States military and civilian targets in order to garner public support for a war against Cuba. We also know that Kennedy wisely rejected that proposal. It is also true that many persons and groups have conspired together to systematically defund public education over the past 50 years. The Heritage Foundation, the Koch brothers, Americans for Prosperity, the American Legislative Exchange Council, the National Chamber of Commerce, the American Enterprise Student, and countless other well-funded and well-organized organizations and movements have been involved in defunding public, common, and higher education, and so much more. I wish with my whole heart that this were a conspiracy theory, but unfortunately the facts are very well documented. And I invite you to read what's often simply referred to as the Powell Memo if you want to see the blueprint for what has happened along these lines over the past 50 years. None of what I just mentioned are conspiracy theories. They are actual conspiracies that we know are true because there is overwhelming evidence and documentation of their truth. With the existence of real conspiracies like these, it is hardly surprising that so many people from so many walks of life in our society are so willing to believe such a wide range of conspiracy theories, especially given the fact that there have been so many real cases in which the truth has been stranger than fiction. It is no wonder, then, that 1 in 5 people in the United States believe in the core aspects of QAnon conspiracies. Up to 20% of all persons in the United States believe in the core aspects of the QAnon conspiracies. One cannot be surprised that at one point, 23% of U.S. Americans believed that 9/11 was an inside job. Or, at one point, 25% of U.S. Americans did not believe that Barack Obama was born in the United States of America. It is no wonder that so many people believe the conspiracy theories about COVID-19 and the vaccines that were developed to protect us. And according to a 2018 international survey, approximately 17% of people in the world believe that governments are using chemtrails to either control the human population and or control the weather. Given the reality of so many real conspiracies out there in the world, it is not a giant leap to believe some of these widespread conspiracy theories, especially if they fit with one's pre-existing disposition or political ideologies. But here is the rub. The conspiracy theories that I just mentioned, not the actual conspiracies that I mentioned before, the conspiracy theories that I just mentioned are not corroborated by any actual evidence. This does not mean that there is never a shred of truth in some conspiracy theories, but it is usually not a truth that is upheld by any demonstrative evidence that they are true. And therefore, it is both morally and epistemologically irresponsible to act as if they are true. And it is even more irresponsible to proclaim them to others as being true. I've come to understand over time, within my own family, within my own friend network, friends from high school as well, I've come to understand that there are no harmless conspiracy theories. When one begins to believe one of the many baseless conspiracy theories that are being spread, it is like a gateway drug that leads persons down a path of accepting beliefs and explanations of reality that are demonstrably untrue, that are often racist, anti-science, and have the capacity to motivate persons to bring great harm to others. The spread of conspiracy theories, by the way, is not only a problem on the far right. I've seen some people I know on the far left and across the political spectrum get so caught up in conspiracy theories about globalism, usually with significant anti-Jewish themes, that they end up aligning more with far-right nationalism than with a progressive approach to addressing our global challenges. Some people seem oblivious to the fascist undertones of the anti-globalist tropes. It's bewildering to me to watch so many people I know go down the fascist rabbit hole. In the end, conspiracy theories are a danger to the well-being of the human community, and they are a threat to the flourishing of democratic societies. More often than not, these conspiracy theories are used as a tool of propaganda to divide and to control us. This is why autocrats all around the world are so quick to use conspiracy theories about elections and all sorts of other topics in order to manipulate and control the masses. They are not concerned about the truth, but rather they are focused on gaining, maintaining, and expanding power, usually for their own benefit. So as we move together to address the very real and complex challenges of our time and the real conspiracies that are out there, may the search for truth be our guide. And may love and justice be our motivation. This is the only viable path forward to what Martin Luther King envisioned as the beloved community. Conspiracy theories will never get us where we need to be in this one world house that we share together. May we continue to covenant together, and I hope you recognize these words, to affirm and promote a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. Our parting thought comes to us from Mohandas Gandhi, from his autobiography. He writes, "Truth is like a vast tree, which yields more and more fruit the more you nurture it.